Tom, we can't hear anything you all are saying there in the Merit co-working room. We see your lips are moving, but we don't hear anything from you all. Looks like you're not muted. It might be a microphone issue. You might need to choose your microphone. There we go. Much better.
Okay. Anyway, welcome to the meeting, and the first person on the agenda is Officer Kaylin Campbell with Denver Police District 1, and she will talk about what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, trying to switch chairs there, but that was not necessary. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you all here again. So it looks like first we're going to go over Sloan Lake. So we'll go over some of the property crimes. I do see a slight increase from the theft from motor vehicle. So it went from 7 reported in April to 17 in May. So that's something that can be easily prevented. Just make sure you're keeping all your valuables, taking them away from your vehicle, keeping it locked, parking well at areas. Again, even empty bags, the people who are breaking in don't know that they're empty. So just try and remove everything of value from your vehicle, and that can prevent a lot of those theft from motor vehicles. Motor vehicle theft looks about the same. 9 reported in April, 9 in May. Criminal mischief, which is just like damaged property, went from 7 in April to 6 in May. And that can be anything from attempted car break-in to any kind of damaged property. So it's pretty wide ranging there, how it's titled. And then it looks like larceny, which is just basically theft, went from 6 reported to 3. So overall it's okay. But again, from those theft from motor vehicles, just make sure to remove valuables from your vehicle. So
what does fraud mean?
So fraud can be anything from a non-sufficient check. It's very wide. And unfortunately, we can't provide a lot of information about what these frauds were because of the victims of the crime. But there is a slight increase, and I can look into it. But again, there's very limited details we can release on frauds and anything about the crimes against persons. So next, we can go over West Colfax next.
Yes.
So for West Colfax, everything's looking pretty good as well. So burglaries went down from, it looks like 12 to 4 reported cases. So that's really promising. Criminal mischief went from 17 to 14 reported. Larceny went from 18 to 20, so slight increase there. And again, that can be anything from like package theft to shoplifting incidents. It's very wide ranging. And then theft from motor vehicle went from 22 to 16, and motor vehicle theft went from 26 to 24. So it's staying pretty consistent there. With the burglaries, I know we've been really preaching about garage burglaries, especially if your garage is attached to your house, just making sure that door is closed and just making sure it's locked as well. So it's just simple things like that that can really help prevent crime and be a strong deterrent. So,
but still the total number in West Colfax in 2 months was 50 cars stolen.
Yeah, it is still pretty significant. Again, this is like a nationwide issue that we're trying to combat. So we have our next CAG meeting is going to be Wednesday, June 21st at 6 p.m. We do have a member of our auto theft task force coming to speak. So he can kind of go over what they're doing on their end to investigate these kind of things. We also do have the Denver Track program that I do recommend everyone sign up their vehicle. It's just, I think I've sent the link to you before, but it'll put a sticker on your vehicle. Again, just another kind of deterrent that allows your vehicle to be tracked by detectives in the case that it is stolen. So we have faster recovery times. And so it really does, it's a way to help. It doesn't help it prevent being stolen, but it does help. It's a deterrent. Also steering wheel clubs, we're still looking on getting more funding for those. We're looking at summer, just because we have a lot of youth events going on right now, but we're thinking probably early September, but I'll keep you posted on all that.
The first one was really successful.
It was. The first one was amazing, and a huge thanks to Sloan Lake for that very generous donation. So again, we're trying to get another one going here soon. It's just summer months are pretty busy with all the youth events, trying to keep them occupied. So
I'm sorry,
sorry,
what
go-
about the crime or the drugs in West Colfax that spiked?
Yeah, so again, it's hard to speak about these specific incidents. We do know that the more that these are reported, which is what I've really been emphasizing to all the citizens, different department groups, we need these things reported. Because our crime analyst does compile this data. And so we have different impact teams and different narcotics units. So I know that they're really paying attention to these hotspots and really going undercover. And again, we're just trying to come up with a very collaborative approach to kind of deter this stuff from happening. So, yeah. We also have a couple of events coming up that I want to make sure everyone knows about. On Bike to Work Day, I can't think of the date right now. I'll send it over to you, but we have a bicycle registration event at REI. So I'll leave this information. I have the digital version I'm going to send to you, so you guys can see it. So we're partnering with 529 Garage. It's just going to be an overall database, so that way you can take pictures of your bicycles. It's a huge problem, especially in summer months. You can take pictures. There's stickers on there that will give it an individual serial number. So that way, in the unlikely event that it is stolen, we can return it back to you. So that's a huge problem that we've been encountering. Is we do recover a lot of bicycles, but they're not all registered. So we want to make sure you guys get your property back. So, and we are also still looking for information for the homicide, the double homicide that was on American Elm. The reward went up. So if anyone has any information, please distribute this flyer as you can. And again, just reach out. We're just trying to find out more. So, and then we also have, we're going to be hosting another Business Watch training event that's going to be on Thursday, June 29th at 3 p.m. That's going to be at the District 1 station. So if there's any businesses that you know about that are interested, please send us an email. We'll get them on the list. We'll have some flyers here soon. I don't have them quite yet. And then we're also going to have a neighborhood watch training. So if you're looking more locally within your block, it'll be on Tuesday, July 25th at 6 p.m. And again, I'll get all this information so you can send it out. So. And I think that's all I have for you right now.
So does anybody in the room or online have any specific questions?
You talk really fast for taking notes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll send it
That's
out
okay.
beforehand next time.
And just it's Wednesday, June 28th for Bike to Work Day. If you are going to participate, be sure to register. There is a raffle for a $3,500 cargo bike. So that is a electric bike, which is a fun one as well. And we have Keith with a question as well.
Awesome. And just to piggyback on that real quick, sorry, Keith. So we're going to be at REI. So it's going to be from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll have volunteers, we'll have some swag. Amanda's going to be down there. She's newly bike certified. So it'll be a good time. So jump on down and say hi to us. So, all right, Keith, go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks. Can you talk about the officer shooting at, I think it was like the Roadway Inn or the Quality Inn?
At 2601 Zuni, there's not a lot that I can actually say to release for that. I can get you more information, but the best information is usually actually on the DPD Twitter account. But as to the specific details, I can't really release that. So.
Well, I guess, I mean, I'm not really curious about the particulars of that incident, other than I'm more curious about the clientele that are using that hotel now. It has changed, I believe, in the last month or two. And I'm more curious about the safety of the area. And, you know, I'd like to know what's going on there and what's going on in terms of safety issues. There's a lot more people that are using the park area across the street from there to loiter, and it looks like there's some encampments that are starting to pop up, and people are storing bicycles on the racks or on the fence along there. And so it just seems like I certainly don't want to kick people out of the neighborhood, but I am interested in the kind of presence that's over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is one of the migrant shelters offered in Denver. We do have off-duty officers there. So they are staffed there to help, ensure with extra safety. We also have the request for extra patrol in the area, just in an abundance of caution, just to increase that officer visibility and try and prevent any further crime. As to the encampments and bikes, I will relay this information to our homeless outreach team, and they can swing on by there and try and clear it out. But we do really depend on the citizens to report this to us, because unfortunately, there's just a lot of encampments popping up, and so it's hard for us to keep track. So if you can report it either via 311 next time, or the non-emergency line, that way we can make sure that all this information gets routed to the appropriate agencies. But I'll definitely forward that along over there.
Okay, I guess I also, speaking of that, and I certainly don't want to be, if there's anything we can do as a neighborhood, or I'm a member of the Elks too, if we can do anything for, refugees that are coming and in that area to provide services or anything, I'm all for it. I've also tried to call 911 several times for when, because that area is, I've seen several incidents where motorcycles have, started drag racing from right around Spear and 26th, like that's where they gear up to go. And I've tried calling 911 and I can never get through to anybody. And then 911 calls me back like several times and still nobody, it's just an automated thing. And by the time, I get, can get through to somebody, the people, they're already gone. And
Okay.
so I guess I'm curious what is the DPD is doing about drag racing and along, these areas like Federal and Spear and all that.
Yeah. First off, that's very concerning. I know that dispatch has gone through some staffing shortages as well, and so they're working on getting dispatchers trained up. They're separate from DPD, but I will bring your concerns up my chain of command, and hopefully we can figure out a way to combat that, because it is important to be able to get through to 911. As for drag racing, we have different neighborhood enforcement teams who are, if we find an area that seems to be more of a hot spot, they can kind of target it. They can't be there all the time, but if there's specific times of day, they can go there to provide traffic control. We also have speed signs that collect data, that way we can present that to the city as well. So I can definitely you said it was 26th and Spear. I can put that on our list for a speed sign. We're a little bit delayed right now, a little bit of a longer list, but I will put it on there and see what we can do. But I do encourage you to continue trying to call it in. You can also text 911 as well. So if you can't reach them by phone, you can still text them. That way that information's out there and officers can kind of, again, go to the area and see if we can deter any traffic accidents, any speed racing, drag racing, anything like that. So.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have anything for me?
That vehicle tagging thing was.
The Denver Track program? Yep, so that's actually anytime. So the question was, when was the Denver Track program? So I can send that information out to you. Again, it's a flyer. You can just scan it, you upload your information, and then they'll send you the stickers in the mail. So it's pretty easy, but we can also include that at the Bike to Work Day. I'll make sure they have some flyers there. So
If you send us the information, Deb can post it to our website,
awesome. Yep.
and I can maybe drop something off up at the nearby liquor store a block from my house, because they gladly post information like that.
That's wonderful. Yep. So I'll send it out, and anyone can be like, wow. Feel free to print it and distribute it as you guys see like it fit. So
The name of the place is Toast.
Toast. Oh,
I just had a blank.
all right. Well, if anyone thinks of anything, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll get all this information forwarded over to the different agencies and see if we can do to combat some of this homelessness and the drag racing. So.
All right, thank you very
Can I
much.
ask a question that's unrelated?
Sure.
So we live like right on King Street and 14th, between Colfax. And I'm just curious, like there is 100% a brothel at the top of our street, and I just like don't understand how it continues to exist without like police intervention. I've just never seen like there be a bus or anything like that. And I don't think they're bad people, but like it's illegal clearly. So just curious, like if that's ever been on your guys' radar, and if it has, like what active steps are being taken.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that information, but if you shoot me an email, I'll go ahead and send it over to our our undercover and our impact teams, and that way they can kind of target that and keep some eyes on it and we can try and fix that situation.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
called Pleasures. It's like a sex shop, but it's 100% a brothel. It's busy Monday morning, 9 a.m. It's busy Saturday night, insanely busy. Thursday afternoon, parking lots are packed. Like it's there's just not that many DVDs being sold.
Yeah, let me forward this information on, but if you don't mind just shooting me an email as well with your contact info, that way I can follow up with you. But I'll shoot
For
this,
sure.
and we'll see what we can do to check
Awesome.
this one out. So, yeah.
Well, some new business to the neighborhood.
Didn't know.
They need business watch.
Yeah, they do. They need business watch. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Great, thank you.
Will you guys, let me know if this gets too loud for you? I'm gonna turn this up once. Okay.
Okay, the next. I don't see anybody online. Alan, do you, from Amanda Sandoval's office?
Anyone online from Councilwoman Sandoval's office, District 1? Nope.
Okay, I guess the next presenter is Ein Slavis from Council District 3, Jamie Torres, who is
Hi,
also the
everyone.
City Council President.
Hi, everyone. If my internet's been kind of funky, so I might go off camera so just bear with me. I did just put where to donate goods as well as funds for our migrant response in the chat, so everyone has that. Also, I wanted to let you know that we're doing office hours with Council President Torres. So if you're interested in that, I'm gonna just put our email here. And you can email us and just say you're interested in signing up for office hours so we can get you signed up for that. In addition, you can also sign up for our newsletter. I'll put that link in the chat just to stay up on. We send that out every week. Anything that's going on in District 3 in terms of policy or citywide initiatives. So some updates. We are out of the runoffs. We officially have a mayor-elect, as well as 6 new council members. So District 4, District 7, District 8, and District 9 all have new council members, as well as we have 2 at-large council members. So not only do y'all have Council President Jamie Torres, as well as Council Pro Tem Amanda Sandoval, you also have at-large council members that are there to represent you as well. So that's Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez and Sarah Parody. And they will be inaugurated as well as the new mayor with all the other council members on July 17th. So that's when the redistricting map also goes into effect. Any questions about the runoff elections, anything like that?
Where is the inauguration? Where is the inauguration?
It's going to be downtown. It's at City Hall, at City Council building on July 17th. And here I will put in the chat as well. That is the election results. You can kind of read a little bit about all the council members, but I do want to stress that the at-large council members are definitely there for you as well, and to utilize their offices. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. Next, DITO has neighborhood activation grants available. And I'm putting that in the chat as well. There's up to $200,000 available for community groups, local businesses, nonprofits, RNOs. And this is utilizing ARPA funds to help with projects around safety, things like that. So as an RNO, you can definitely take advantage of that as well. Any questions on that one?
And where are they listed? Under Denver Gov and what?
Yes, I put that under the
What was the
chat, and
listing?
it's
Okay,
the
we don't have
agents.
the chat here.
Oh,
We're-
sure, no worries.
We're live.
Okay, so it's under, so if you do go to denvergov.org, it's under DITO. That's the agency.
DIDO. I'm not-
DEDO. So it's Denver Economic Development and Opportunity.
Thank you.
They're the agency that works with small businesses, essentially. So some examples, so funding, some examples could be events, performances, walking tours, festival, public art exhibitions. If there was a mural in the area you were interested in getting funded, landscaping, planters, banners and decorations, signage, business wayfinding. So those are kind of the just kind of the sessions. There is a in-person session if you'd like to go for an in-person information meeting on Tuesday, June 20th from 4:30 to 5:30 at the Ford Warren Branch Library. I can put that here too. And there's also another virtual meeting on Thursday, the 22nd. So those are the two opportunities as well for more information on that grant. And what else do I have for you? Go Nuggets, we have a parade tomorrow. It starts at 9. So just plan accordingly if you work downtown. It's pretty exciting. Let's see. And lastly, we are going to have movie nights in D3. We have 3 dates, July 29th in Joseph P. Martinez Park, August 9th in Westwood Park, and August 19th in Bearwood Park. And that's in Valverde, as we're overtaking Valverde after the election. We are still, the movies are TBD, but they will be family friendly. Yes.
Did you have a clarification on my question about the sidewalk assessment?
Yes, so they are currently having, they're forming a citizens group for the sidewalk assessments. It's not necessarily going to come out of property taxes, I believe, and this is very early in the process. So now that the ordinance has come, now they have to have a community advisory group, which they're forming, which our office will participate in. So I can definitely give you updates as we have them. And then it has to go through city council, and city council might have amendments for it. So it's not going to happen very, very quickly. But as we get more information, because they're still forming that citizens group, from my understanding.
Do you mind if I hop in real quick?
Yeah.
I am actually on that group.
Great.
I heard from Dottie, they're hoping to meet before the end of the month. My guess is the first meeting might end up being in July. And it will be similar to the storm water collection fee, where it will be a fee collected, and there's all sorts of potential ideas on the table in terms of how that fee may be collected and how might that change based on what you said on the community advisory group. That'll obviously go before council or anything changes.
Yeah, and council can amend it as well. So we're pretty far out from you receiving a bill in the mail. So, and that the whole point is to get that community engagement. So thanks, Alan, I appreciate that. And then I'll be sitting in on those meetings, so I can also give updates as well as Alan can as we get closer to that. And then also, I just wanted to apologize. Last meeting, we were talking about some construction that I needed to look into, and Jesus didn't record the intersection. So I forget who exactly made that request, but if you're here, would you mind?
It'd be Tom.
It's
Tom.
the construction at Colfax and Irving on the
Colfax
north
and
side,
Irving.
Colfax east side. These gigantic things are coming out of the ground. When the developer probably changed hands since then, but when they first approached Stones Lake Citizens Group for help with getting the zoning, it was going to be a 1-story medical clinic. And it's in the MS8. So I don't know how many more floors that the elevator shafts are going up, but it is a prominent piece right across from the library.
Okay. And was it the issue with this actual street, was it an issue with the sidewalk? Because that's what I thought, or are you saying it's an issue with the current construction?
Well, we just want to find out how many units, talk to the developer and find out how many units they're proposing. I think you had indicated that they slipped the building permit app in before the required number of
Oh,
affordable units, so they will either pay a fee or pay to have them built off-site somewhere.
yeah, so this was the permitting, that list of permits I gave you for the permitting, the building permits.
Mhm.
But was this the same thing, that there was road work that was left behind? We were wondering whose responsibility it was. Was that the same
Oh,
intersection we were talking about last time?
No, that was over
Uh,
on Grove.
Okay, okay. So before we go over to Grove, we still needed an answer from the north side of Colfax and Irving, how high up the building is, how many stories
Yeah.
they're building? Okay,
Yeah, so if you can get me that information or
How many
contact with the developer, I can maybe have
Yeah.
them do a presentation to the group.
sure, okay. And how many?
The signage.
And we're wondering what the building is doing. Is it residential? Is that another question?
Oh, no, I think it's 99% positively gonna be residential. There may or may
Okay.
not be commercial on the ground floor, depending on whether it's MS, so it's Main Street, so it shouldn't have to have the transparency requirements on the ground floor, so.
Right, okay. And you want the and if possible, developer come to the, okay, great. Okay, thank you. I'll get that for you. And then Grove and the construction issues with the street, that was Grove and,
19th to 20th.
and that was an issue with the actual street or the sidewalk?
The street,
Okay,
that when they repaved, it looks nice, but when you drive it, it's kind of undulative.
Roller
Okay.
coaster?
Yes.
but it was repaved,
Oh, yeah.
okay. But it just is hard to drive on?
Well, maybe when they're all done, they could rotomill it, repave it, but that'll probably be a long way down the line, so.
Okay. Okay, I'll drive past and see as well. Okay. That is all I have, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Is the citizens group already formed for the sidewalk assessments?
I believe so. I believe so, and Alan might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. 'Cause
I don't know
I'm-
if they've announced who's on it, but the applications were due, I think the end of April or May. And they're trying to do a good job of having folks that were both proponents of it, like Councilman Cashman, and folks that had some serious concerns like Councilman Flynn. So we know there's definitely some voices around concerns around people that have corner lots and folks that may have had their sidewalk done recently and things like that. So yeah, I think a lot of those voices should be heard on the committee.
The issue is that we live on the border of Sloan's Lake Citizens Group and West Highlands. And we have not gotten information through the West Highlands neighborhood group about the formation. So I'll check in with Councilwoman Sandball on that.
And if you have any concerns that you want me to bring up, since I am on the committee, and obviously
Okay, Alan.
you're welcome to ping me as well. I'm happy to help.
Okay, thanks, Alan.
Yep.
That's all I have. And I know, Tom, we were emailing about potentially getting Excel to come. I think it may have, Grace, our representative at Excel, was on vacation, but hopefully we can get her in soon to talk about the plant. Any other questions, Excel
And
related?
that was more of a long-term thing. I sent in an email to somebody at Excel, but it fell off the edge of the planet, I think.
I'll follow up, and Grace is really responsive and has a background in
I'll follow
community
up on that.
engagement, so absolutely. All right, y'all, if you don't have any other questions for me, I'll hop off, but have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, the next order of business is a presentation by Amy O'Brien with a Fackner Company is presenting about the redevelopment of 1409 through 1471 Julian Street.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy O'Brien from the Pochner Company, and I've got Marcus Pochner here, who's actually going to do the presenting tonight. And our client, Chris Downs, is also on for potential questions at the end. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Tom, yeah, they're perfect. Let me just get this going here. And
all right, good evening, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
All right,
Yep.
very good. Thank you very much. Thanks, Tom, Amy. We're very nice of you all to host us here tonight. We appreciate this. Have initiated our community outreach on a subject property that we're going to talk to you all about, and we just would love to have your continued feedback. It's really a unique time that there's been such work and effort done on the West Area Plan. So we are following that process. Our client, Chris Downs, who is here tonight, he and his son, our family, owned these properties together with them for a long time. And we're very active in that planning process. And we're just trying to honor and bring that plan to fruition. So I'll give you a little overview on this tonight and then happy to answer any questions. Next slide, please. Just our brief agenda, folks, just introductions, the project background, the project proposal. We'll go through kind of the overall timeline. You all certainly understand kind of the rezoning process in the city of Denver, and then Q&A. I do want to say for everyone that just as we go through this, our company is formed just on community outreach. We specialize on outreach. We worked on countless projects throughout Denver. 20 years ago, I was a council aide, started on the redevelopment of Lowry, and we've been involved in kind of all different phases of neighborhood development and really have such a deep and a sacred love for our city and how to kind of build within the project guidance and guidelines that we have in place. Next slide. Our team, the Wazi Partners, that is Chris and Tyler Downs, that own the site, and their partners. Again, this is a family-owned partnership. It's been very active in this community for a long time, owned many of these properties. And then our company is involved again on the community outreach. Next slide. Just to focus on this, and I think we could all talk about what matters as a community developer. Probably the most important thing is being part of the community, understanding and listening to all of you, and do something we call collaborative planning, where we learn from our neighbors, we learn from all our partners and the plan guidance to really try to build appropriate density, appropriate uses, and really provide all different housing spectrums across here. You can see some of that thing that we do and have and will continue to add in this neighborhood. Next slide. So folks, this is the subject property, just to be sure. And so you all know your boundaries very well for Sloan's Lake. And we've been really active. We'll talk about some of the others that we've met with, but this is on Julian. So the specific address is 1409 through 1471 Julian Street, but it shows that site. Obviously, the Knox Station, Colfax, West Colfax, kind of all of the planning area. Really such a transition of different type of uses around and really understanding this. So this is the subject property. If you go to the next slide, it just shows that, and folks, we only have 5 or 6 more slides, but kind of shows it in context of the build out, right? So this is the existing parcel today. And we can talk about that again. So it shows the outline, and then we do have a site as well on West 14. So it just shows kind of the properties that we've been involved in. Again, been there for 30 plus years, know our neighbors well, know the folks that are there, and kind of have worked and are working with them very closely through this rezoning process. Next slide. So folks, many of you probably were very active on the West Area Plan. And again, want something that we should do much more in Denver to have these type of large planning process where there's been so much community involvement. We were very active in that, worked with it closely. And since that time, as you all know, it was adopted in March of this year. Very common guidance are very familiar guidance to us. Since then, Amy has been leading our outreach, and we have met with we've met with a number of the advisory board members, a number of the faith community, the churches nearby, and the nonprofits to really get their individual feedback. And then we will have the formal neighborhood meeting that we're actually starting the notice for tomorrow. So all subject property owners, as you all understand the notice area, but we're following this West area plan and have continued to kind of work with all the stakeholders in that process. Next slide. This shows it, and I did this just because you all, again, you know your boundaries, the federal, the Sheridan, but thinking about this project site as it looks at the West Colfax plan, the Knox Street, and just kind of thinking of that, the transition, some appropriate density, what people planned in the West plan. So this is the site right there off of Colfax. And then if Amy goes to the next one, this actually shows you what was in this guidance. So this is the future places map in that plan, and it goes through specifically our site. And that was what was amazing, is there's more block by block planning that happened here, and there's a height map that goes with it, and then the definition of the type. So this is high medium residential, right, that is effectuated on this site. That is really the majority of this site here. So again, if you follow it up for future places for the project site, this shows this as high medium residential. Next slide. So as it does that, right, just to be sure, and all of you, again, working through the zoning process, these are the zoning categories that are available to effectuate that, right? So depending on the number, the type of use, where you're at, maybe where you're sited on Colfax or on a residential corridor. So these are the zone districts that really bring that to life. So we have chosen GMU 5. So we are pursuing a rezoning request, the GMU 5 for the subject property. So I just wanted to again kind of show what the guidance was. There's two things that we always look at from a planning perspective. It's the neighborhood outreach, it's the feedback we get from people, the stakeholders. And again, this has really been shaped by all the planning that's gone on the last couple of years. And then also the plan guidance. So the plan guidance says here that medium to high residential, and these are the districts to pursue that residential development. Next slide. So you all know, many of you know the process that it's going through. We are starting the formal application, right? So we have not submitted a formal application. We are doing this in advance of that formal submittal. We're meeting with those stakeholders. Again, this is a site that has so many of you active neighborhood associations, RNOs, nonprofits, community faith members that really have had really good influence for us. And some of that is individual use, how it transitions at the street, overall density, parking, all the things that we want. But we'll make that final application here in the pending weeks after that formal meeting, and then move through, you know, you think the 4 to 6 month rezoning process for the site. Next slide, and that's probably getting close to the end. Again, we can come back to any of these things. Again, it's just a rezoning, folks, so we don't have a full site plan. Again, we're kind of staying in that. This is a residential development with a GMU 5 request. We put this up so everybody can have our phone number. We're happy to add that to the chat as well, so anybody can call our office and have additional discussions. With that, Tom, again, we so appreciate it. We're here for comments or questions and anything that you'd like to offer on the site.
Well, one of the things people were asking about is displacement of the existing tenants who are there. Now, it is all affordable housing currently, and you're gonna, when the project's complete, it will be affordable housing. The whole purpose is to replace low density buildings with more affordable housing units, correct?
That's correct. And Chris, if you want to answer, we have kind of a, because we have multiple parcels in the area, we've been working with our tenants and working on some additional units for all the folks. So you are correct. As you move from affordable housing, you have a plan to work with those tenants to provide additional units. And then, yes, sir, we are adding density to provide more units across the housing spectrum.
Just a comment.
Please.
Yeah. The site currently, the larger Julian site currently has 17 units of affordable housing. Our plan is not to make the new construction development 100% affordable housing. We intend to comply with the ordinance on affordability for the 10% set aside. But the existing residents, the 17 existing households on the Julian Street and the 2 households on 14th Avenue are being relocated under a relocation plan that's being submitted, will be submitted to HUD. But that relocation plan will contemplate that all of those households move to a new construction project that previously was probably before you, known now as Manola Homes at 1465 through 1497 Knox.
So in some ways, Tom, we're able to accelerate that process as that's going through the approval process now. So just to be really clear, and thank you, Chris, for saying that, like, that's a project that's already moving through the approval process, the SDP process. And so that's how we're moving that. So you're absolutely right. Moving folks there, finding replacement units, going through, working with HUD. And then we're able to build additional, some market rate and some affordable across the site. Any other questions or comments?
Yes. How many stories in the new zoning?
Somebody, yes, they're asking what the new zoning height, and if it's GMU 5, that means a 5-story maximum, correct?
That is correct.
Is it gonna be 100% residential? Any plans to put commercial in there?
Yeah, so Chris, we're kind of going through the site plan process now, and it's kind of working through that. We do believe this is a residential development. We've had some discussions with some surrounding neighbors and users about some community space. But Chris, right now, we're really looking at a residential development building.
Okay, and then do you have any details yet on like what the construction is gonna look like, how long it's gonna take? How traffic's gonna be affected, because you can't make a left turn on the Julian from Colfax.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And listen, I think we're just in that kind of first phase, as you all know, that with the rezoning, kind of the way it happens now. We haven't started that. It's really about the mass, if you will, of that. And again, the West Area Plan certainly has some guidance on those things. So we really haven't jumped into that. Again, the Knox Court is going through that process now, as in the SDP phase, but we'll come back. I want to be very clear, so I'm not avoiding that question. We're happy to come back and share those plans. We just don't have those plans in place yet at all.
Okay, thank you.
In their stakeholder process, are they also including the renters as well as the home landowners?
I'll repeat that for the stakeholder. Does it introduce the land owners, the tenants that are currently there?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I did hear that there are really, I think we should always have multiple outreach, right? So we're utilizing and working very closely with the existing tenants, right? So you could say they're renters, right? To your specific question, the folks that are there, and then all of the neighborhood outreach, the statutory outreach, if you will, that goes out that we're going to send for a formal meeting. And then we've just said, hey, this West Advisory, the advisory board, all the organizations are stakeholders. So we've gone back to everybody that we've thought was really involved in that process. So yes, we are meeting with renters, owners, property owners, and adjacent community and nonprofits. Keith, I see over there if you've got a question.
Thanks. I bring this up with everybody that's come before us lately, which is I'm assuming the setbacks are going to change with the GMU 5 zoning. Is that correct?
I'm sure that is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So I can just from looking on Google Maps here, I can count about 10 like pretty significant trees on that property. And I'm guessing you guys are familiar with the concept of heat islands. And I think these trees provide probably you know, the little bit of tree coverage that is in that neighborhood, that these trees probably provide a lot of that. And I'm hoping that, you know, if this goes through, that, you know, as you start to work on your plans, those, rather than just kind of putting money into the pot, that those can kind of be preserved, because it's going to take, you know, quite a few decades to get trees that size again.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Keith, and you're absolutely right. And we'll take that. I don't mean it all under advisement. Like, we will go through that. You're right. That's a very good suggestion. We're starting to kind of just map out site plan stuff, right? And look at those issues, but we couldn't agree more. Anytime we can keep those trees or a larger caliber, you know, the building code has gotten so much better. You probably all know we just adopted the 2022 IBC. That's so much from a sustainability standpoint that we're working on. But to your point, that tree canopy really matters. It really matters there. So yes, we will continue to look at that, and we're happy to come back. And when we get to that phase, again, we're just zoning now, if you will, but we'll come back, Keith, and certainly talk about those issues.
Thank you. It looks like Adrian has his or her hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I thought I was on mute for a second. So in the current SDP process, are you just in the concept review phase as far as the rezone process goes? And is there a tentative date for the rezone hearing?
Yeah, so just to clarify, and Chris, you can certainly correct me if I'm incorrect, but we're just in the rezoning phase, right? So actually, you cannot submit the SDP until you kind of get through that zoning, because it's a different zone district, right? What we can do under the 5, we can't do today, right? It's a 3-story zone district today. So we'll start that. You are correct. The rezoning phase is usually 4 to 6 months. I think things have lingered a little bit in the city of Denver, so that's a pretty ambitious, but I'll also say this particular neighborhood has more clarity of thought because you've just adopted a small, an area plan, right, in the last 3, 4, 5 months. So there's more concrete guidance on what should happen on each of these parcels. So Adrian, after that, then we'd submit an SDP. Right now, an SDP is at least a year process and has very specific multi-reviews from agencies, has affordable housing requirements, as our client mentioned. So we will go through all of that phase post rezoning the site.
Yeah, understood. It was more where you at in the current concept phase, if there's anything we can get eyes on as far as you mentioned your massing. I don't know what kind of multi-unit family dwelling you're trying to get in your pro forma, as far as how many units are you actually trying to get on this site? And that's more where I'm trying to lead this question to.
I apologize if I jumped
You're
around there. So again, and like Chris, you can correct me, our client can correct me if I'm wrong. We've really tried to stay true to, like, let's figure out the mix, the zoning, right? The uses on the ground floor, particularly some community space, some utilization of that, to then figure out how those units translate. Are they on the ground level as well, or is it on that? So what, Chris, I don't know if we know the numbers yet, or we have a general idea, but I think we're just kind of embarking on that phase.
Got it. Yeah, and I was looking for more like a ballpark. We're hoping to get 100 mixed 3-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom studio / whatever. Just a general feel. Also, have you guys ever started establishing who would be your architectural firm / civil firm and in that good jazz? I mean, as you move through the rezone process, obviously, once that hits, you move directly into your concept phase, and then hopefully right into SDP, assuming everything checks the box as far as, you know, your ground floor elevations, that setbacks, as people had mentioned. I understand that the tree and green space is a big thing. However, tree calipers is obviously a remove replace sort of scenario here in Denver, right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think we've worked with a number of different architects. I mean, through our planning process, we're just starting. So Adrian, I promise you, I'm not trying to not answer that. What I would say is, listen, we're happy to come back and talk about that. I think that's where we're at. And we've been so careful about trying to understand the zoning before we go design the site, because it is truly a different form. And so that's why we're trying to do. So Chris Downs, if there's anything to add to that, that's kind of what phase we're in right now.
Yeah, Adrian, you're way out in front of us.
I'm sorry, man.
On the design concept, we have really not done any massing. I know that we contemplate a structured parking underground
Okay. Understood. So this
because
would
we
be
like to go with a very high parking ratio to keep all the cars off the streets. But other than, is it a big hole in the ground? I don't have anything to add to that because we don't really want to spend money hypothetically.
No, and it's in my mind, I'm obviously cart in front of the horse, obviously, but here up on 14th, obviously you don't have a groundwater table to contend with. For most developments in this area, you're probably looking at least 30 feet deep. So a big hole in the ground doesn't scare me as far as putting cars underground. I say go for it. Keep them off the street, keep the streets clean. It was more just general trying to figure out, are you guys putting in 50 units, 100 units, etc.?
Well, and I think that starts to shape it, right? So we'll come back on that. Like Adrian, you're right. It's structured parking is what we're thinking of with some below grade. So it starts to form that, 4 or 5 story product that we're doing there. We think we need to park it off the street. We think that's important and responsive to the neighborhood. So that starts to be our general form, and then we'll come back with some more design concepts.
Marcus, we also had a couple questions here from Jennifer. Was it all affordable housing before, and was it row homes or single family housing currently?
Yeah, so there are I believe 17 units that are on it today that are affordable housing units. And the way that works is there's a replacement plan that we have in place with HUD that they have to approve because they're involved in those. And so we're actually providing those units, those families, 17, those replacement units in another building that we're going to build on Knox Court. And that is further ahead going through the SDP phase. And so, yes, that the 17 units are going into 17 more affordable units. And then on this site, we're going to do a mix, the EHA affordable housing and then market rate housing on this site as well.
We got time for about
net increase in housing, in affordable housing.
I think to keep on our agenda here for tonight, we've got time for one more question. We've got Drew's hand raised here online.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that HUD, there's 44 subsidized units on scattered sites. That's part of one property called GAO Homes. And this current developer is going to take those 44 subsidized units, centralize all of them on Knox Court. Then they're going to take the other scattered sites and they're going to develop them for a lot more money. All those scattered sites that we have been supporting as taxpayers for decades with the HUD subsidy. Is that correct?
It's not correct. We're going to move those into additional affordable housing units. So we continue that relationship. We work with HUD on those. And then on those, I guess, consolidated sites, I'm not sure what language you use, Drew, on that. The other sites, we will then be working under city guidelines to provide additional affordable housing and market rate. So we'll be providing a full spectrum of housing in compliance with the West Area Plan and the EHA.
Great. Tom, anything else to add?
I believe when I was speaking with Amy and Chris and Tyler Downs, they'd indicated that currently there's little or no off-street parking for the existing 17 units. So whatever they're providing in the structure will alleviate parking on the street, should make it better for the neighbors.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it, Tom. Thanks so much. And Alan, we can't wait to come back. We'll keep everybody updated. Some of you may get the official notice, so we'll have additional meetings, and then we're happy to come back. So we'll stay in touch. We really appreciate including us and staying involved in this process.
Thank you all so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
As long as they don't charge for parking.
Yeah.
They always do.
Oh, like up at 37 below.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, our next, maybe Keith can take over on this, but we're having a presentation about the Greener Denver platform, which is an INC presentation about this initiative. maybe to start out, Alan, you could run those part of that video, and that will give us a start to answering questions, which is minute 10:18 through 17:14. Hey, Keith.
Hey Keith, I'm on the link that I got. I'm not seeing a video on here.
I don't really know that we need to watch the video. I'm happy to do a
Great.
quick overview. Can I share my screen?
You should have co-host permissions and can share your screen, Keith.
Perfect. And let's see here. Great. And Tom, how much time do I have? Because there was a couple other things I wanted to chat about real quick too. If that was okay.
We were allowing 20 minutes for that, and what you got up there is part of what was in that link that I gave to Alan.
Great. So great. I'll try to get this all done in that amount of time. So hey everybody, I'm Keith Meyer. I'm the president of Inc. And we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but Inc. is the Inter-Neighborhood Cooperation, and we're basically a kind of umbrella group for a lot of the RNOs around Denver. We're taking a position, or trying to take a position anyway, on the Greener Denver platform. Can everybody see this? My webpage that's up?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. So this has been put together. This is a citizens-led coalition of some, environmental and climate activists that have been working. They helped to pass what was it, Measure 2 a few years ago that did the $40 million in funding for the Climate and Sustainability Office. And what they've basically done this spring is they went through and kind of said that, hey, over the last 12 years of the past administration, we've had all these great sustainability plans that have been written up, but only some of them have been implemented. And what they went through, it was it's basic letter that kind of says, and I'm going to throw this in the chat as well to make sure everybody can link to it and read it if they choose to. So I'm just throwing it in the chat now. But basically, this is asking the city to actually do all these plans, these sustainability plans that they've come up with over the last 12 years. And this kind of ranges in everything from equity and environmental justice to air quality, climate mitigation activities, energy, food, land use and transit, providing more parks and open space, waste and water, all these subjects. And they've gone through and asked, they've gotten all these supporting organizations for this over the spring. And then most of the candidates for the mayoral election and the city council election endorsed this platform as well. And basically what they're going to do is just use this platform to hold city officials accountable in the next few years, and kind of say, hey, you agreed to do these things, are you doing them currently? If not, what are your plans to implement these things that Denver has come up with over the past few years? It's really not anything groundbreaking. What it is just asking Denver to implement the plans it's come up with. So Inc. has been asked to endorse this platform as well. We've changed our process a little bit over the last couple of years, and we have a little bit more of a stringent process where we take, if we're going to do an endorsement, we make sure we get the information out to RNOs. There's at least 30 days that go by so that RNOs can vote on these things. And, we can then take that back to Inc. and, use that feedback from RNOs to determine whether or not we'd endorse it or not. So I think this would be the motion that Inc. is asking folks to endorse. Is that up? It's, and I'll just read it. The Inter-Neighborhood Cooperation Climate and Sustainability Committee recommends that the Inter-Neighborhood Cooperation join in supporting the citizen-led 2023 Greener Denver platform. Platform contains recommendations on ways to combat climate and sustainability issues for the incoming mayor, city council, and other elected officials through the lens of equity and environmental justice. These are primarily based on existing city plans, specifically relating to the following 8 target areas: air quality, climate mitigation and adaptation, energy, food, land use and transit, parks and open space, waste and water. And so I think I'm just, here to answer any questions. If anybody has any questions, and then ask for a, support of Sloan's Lake Citizens Group, or a vote of endorsement or not. From
Alan, could you set up a straw poll, and then while you're doing that,
Understand what is completely in this resolution.
all right. I didn't.
Well, that's it right.
I can't hear anything from the room.
She just wants to know what is in there. Angela, the full text is here if you would like to read it. But it's way too long to have put in the newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to try to talk about something specifically. These are all the specific topic areas. And I can, if there's one thing in particular, I can kind of scroll to it, and we can talk about it for a second if you want.
I just to add to what you're saying, seeing the organizations that have endorsed this, like 350 Denver, the Denver Streets Partnership, these are some of the heavy hitters, and the NRDC, these are some of the really heavy hitters in the movement for environmental justice and climate in Denver. That kind of sells it for me a lot. So, and Pete looks like he has his hand too.
Yeah. Pete?
So this is something that I'm personally kind of conflicted about, because I very much agree with Alan that the platform itself, I do think is very good. But as some of you are aware, I'm also on the Highlands United Neighborhood Association board. And that group voted against this basically on the principle of they're not comfortable supporting these sort of political actions as a group that doesn't feel like they particularly represent the Highlands very well. And so I think that's something that I might ask, does Sloan's Lake Citizens Group have any like formal requirements for, endorsing inherently political sorts of policies like this? Like what is quorum, or, how do we make sure that we're a representative group of Sloan's Lake to be able to say that we represent all of our neighbors on something like this? But that aside, I do think the platform is a good one, and if we vote to approve it, I would personally be fine with it. But just want to throw that tidbit out there.
Thanks, Pete. I'm happy to let somebody else answer this question, and I have some thoughts on that.
Angela, what did Angela have to say?
As I understand our bylaws do not permit us to vote on political issues. How is it here? But it's necessary.
And to represent the whole neighborhood.
So I think
the question is, Keith, it seems to me that this is an environmental thing, and Angela was wondering, we can't, as a Sloan's Lake Citizens Group, the bylaws, we don't.
Well, so I guess that, I think you're breaking up, or maybe there's somebody that's got their microphone on, they can turn it off. Maybe that is what the issue is. Or if everybody could mute again. So I think what I heard is that your bylaws may state that you can't take a political position on something. Is that
Correct.
correct? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so this question comes up, I think, pretty much every time a discussion like this comes up. And you know, is the group that's voting representative of the whole? And I think this is a kind of a thing that each neighborhood has to kind of decide on their own. But, you know, I think I was talking to somebody about this actually this morning. And they made a good point, which is this is representative government. And this is what happens, you know, people that show up are the ones that make the decisions and make the policy and vote on things. And that doesn't mean, you know, that other people can't show up, and if they, you know, they don't agree with something, they can, you know, work to change it later, but this is how representative government works. And the other thing is that this is not really a political, I wouldn't put this in the category of like a, you know, voting for a political or to support a political candidate. I think there are some legal differences in terms of that. This is a citizens-led initiative that, you know, has kind of gained the support of a lot of different groups and also, you know, candidates. It's fairly broad-based. And I think it's, you know, I don't see a difference between this and approving you know, a land use zoning change for you know, giving our support for a land use zoning change for a building that's, you know, proposed in the neighborhood. So those are my personal thoughts on that.
Well, you know, it was mentioned in the newsletter that was sent out, both hard copy and electronically, to, I don't know, 500 or 600 people, and they are aware of what was it. If they read the newsletter, they're aware that we're discussing it, and if they were interested, they could tune in. We gave them a link.
Tom, I just want to call out, we're getting close to the end of our scheduled time for this and want to be respectful. We do have other speakers in the room. How would you like to proceed, Tom?
I just think we should do a little straw poll and see what happens, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, I'm launching a straw poll now. For those of you online, you can, the question is, do you support this Greener Denver platform? And Tom, if you could take a vote of folks, or straw poll, I should say, of folks in the room.
Was your paid member?
Yes. Okay, the voting are paid members of, sounds like citizens group, so we've got 4. Here, Alan.
Jennifer, I think you're trying to speak, but your microphone is really bad. I'm sorry, we're not able to hear anything you're saying. You're welcome to put any feedback in chat as well.
Last month there's microphones.
Yeah, I'm unable to vote, Alan, online.
You're a co-host, Keith, so you'll just
Oh.
have to give a verbal vote here, which I'm
Oh,
pretty
I
sure I
voted
know
no.
which way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'm sorry, we're not able to hear anything you're saying. It's very garbled. There appears to be something wrong with your microphone.
Perhaps not a.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, I'm going to have to mute you. We can't hear. We're just hearing lots of static from you right now.
Jennifer, if you have a comment, maybe you could throw it in the chat. And that might be better.
But I'm gonna go ahead. I'll give everyone another 10 seconds to cast their votes online here. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll and share the results. We had 5, make that 7 in favor, with Keith and I both being in favor. We can't vote because we're listed as co-host here, and then 2 against on the online straw poll, Tom.
Okay, and there's 1 abstain here and 4 yeses in the room. And other interested parties.
Great. Well, I think, Keith, do you have anything you want to quickly go through? I think we do have a speaker from the Colorado Dragon Boat Festival that you want to give time to here as well. Anything, a quick hurry up offense?
Yeah, this will only take a minute. Just, I did want to mention the letter, Alan, that you and I had kind of drafted, mostly you, actually. So Alan and I just want to mention, are working on a letter about arterial road safety on Federal and Sheridan, and the speed at which people are traveling, and asking CDOT and, Dottie and whoever to start looking at some ways to potentially slow down traffic and do some things, because there will be some increased pedestrian and bike use of both those roadways, and speeds need to be decreased. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll have more next month. If anybody wants to add to that or join, please feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to work with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
Okay, Sarah Moore is here, and she's with the 2023 Dragon Boat Festival, which is occurring July 22nd and 23rd at Sloan's Lake Park.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Moore. I am the executive director of the 501c3 nonprofit Colorado Dragon Boat, and we are the organization that brings the Colorado Dragon Boat Festival here to Sloan's Lake since 2001. So mine is going to be kind of brief. I'll be going a little more in depth in July at the meeting with just more maps and more information that is concrete. I didn't want to give any drafts out today, just not to avoid confusion. But mainly what I wanted to come here and chat about is the fact that the Colorado Dragon Boat Festival, we are back in 2023 this year. We're very excited to be back in beautiful Sloan's Lake and to be working with you all. Thank you so much for having me. We, as an organization, as a nonprofit, our festival is going to be very similar to what it was last year. And some of the major changes last year that we saw, we did fence in the area of Sloan's Lake. We are still a free admissions festival. Everybody is welcome to join in on this festival. The reason for the fencing is unfortunately due to the last 3 years of anti-Asian sentiment and increase in hate and violence towards the AAPI, which is Asian American Pacific Islander community. We just felt that it was necessary to just make sure that everyone felt safe coming to our event. But again, it is still very free, and we very much encourage everybody to come and celebrate with us. And we also, unfortunately, were unable to provide shuttles last year due to lack of labor when it came to the companies that were providing our shuttles. I have been working very hard to try and find busing systems this year that would be able to work with us. Unfortunately, due to the increase in liability and insurance, all the districts that we have reached out to for busing have said that they are not able to provide shuttles for private events. So unfortunately, we will not be able to provide that for this year's festival. We're going to continue to try and work with outside companies for future years. But unfortunately, this year, we're unable to do that just due to the challenges that other busing companies are having. We will be encouraging everyone, as always, to bike and walk to Sloan's Lake. There is an RTD station about a mile away, so it's not the closest, but it's still within walking distance. And then worst case scenario, to Uber and Lyft to the location where we do have a system in place with geofencing with both Uber and Lyft, where they will be able to come in, drop off, and exit in a scheduled, organized manner. And we did use that last year, and I do believe that it works pretty efficiently. We're still working on just encouraging improvement as always. But for the festival this year, it's going to be the same outline as last year, especially within the fenced-in area. We are working with DPD. We do have security on site, as well as EMTs, and then obviously working with the fire department. All emergency departments are working with us to ensure the safety of the festival. For this year, like last year, the DPD Denver police officers will be inside the fenced-in area, just because that is the high trafficked area that we are trying to keep safe. For our security, people coming into the festival, and I'll have maps for next month's presentation, but we will have entrances for each areas of the festival where attendees are allowed in. We will be doing bag checks again this year, as well as metal detector wands, just in case. We haven't had any insight into any threats coming into the festival, luckily, knock on wood. But just in case, we want to make sure safety is our priority. That is always our priority. Very excited about this year. We have 40 teams signed up to race across Sloan's Lake for both Saturday and Sunday. So very excited about that. And then we have 3 stages in the fenced-in area with over 100 different performances from local nonprofit organizations, as well as our large Asian marketplace and our food vendors. So if you are around for the festival, July 22nd and 23rd, please come in, eat some delicious food, and just celebrate with us. I'm mainly here just to give you that update and then also take any questions. We are working really hard. I know parking is always an issue at Dragon Boat Festival, and we are working with DPD and security to make sure that we're doing our best to ensure that it is as safe as possible and that we are enforcing all of those parking restrictions that we have in the neighborhood. So I just wanted to go ahead and open that up to anybody, if anybody has any questions. And then also if anybody needs, has any questions that you would like to ask me, if you know it now or later, please feel free to email me. I'll give Tom my email address and I'll put it in the chat, but it's just Sarah without an H, so SARA @cdbf.org, which stands for Colorado Dragon Boat Festival. I'm excited to announce that up until May of this year, I was the only employee for the organization. But starting in May, I actually was able to hire a program manager. So now we are a team of 2 full-time staff, and then we do work with contractors for the actual festival itself. But I will be the one who can answer any questions that you have.
In years past, they have been able to get permission from in Edgewater on the parking lots that are over there. You still have to walk a ways. Is that a possibility?
That is a great suggestion. Thank you for bringing that up. We are working with a few organizations over on that side, and I'll definitely reach out to more parking lots over in that area to try and make sure that that is available to everybody. Thank you.
Sarah, Sunday when I was driving by the park, we saw a boat practicing.
Yeah, that is, I might have been on it, actually.
It's not the fancy, these are practice boats that are kind of stripped down, but
Right.
it's definitely.
They don't have a motor?
No,
No motor. There is a
but they don't
motor.
have the pretty drag yet.
Yeah. But no, we're really excited to be back. And I'm sure, as all of you know, during the pandemic, 2020 and 2021, we were unable to have the festival due to the pandemic, as well as there was the blue-green algae challenge with Sloan's Lake. I am actually also a part of the Sloan's Lake Restoration Committee. So we're working to ensure the health and safety of the lake. As good news goes, with all of this rain that we have been getting, which is super abnormal for Colorado, but I'll take it. The lake actually is looking pretty good for this year. And we, talking to parks, it's obviously not a guarantee, but we are looking to be steer clear of blue-green algae for this year, which is exciting. So we shouldn't have that issue.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you
Fill
so
us
much.
in for information next month.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, then next on the agenda was what Keith was talking about. And Alan, is there something you wanted to add about the discussion of speeding on Federal and Sheridan?
I'll let Keith chime in here as well. Keith, if you want to jump in, but really, Keith and I were just working on a letter. We've heard a lot of feedback from this group and just from talking to people in our community that, Sheridan and Federal and West Colfax really too are just too dangerous for folks in the neighborhood. I think a lot of us have known people that have either died or been injured or had close calls on those streets. So, some of the things that, Keith and I drafted around it. Thanks, Keith, for sharing it. Some of the things that we've drafted around it. Oh, this is great. Refocusing Vision Zero. So Denver did just come out with their new Vision Zero plan. And actually one of the really exciting things on their Vision Zero plan that the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure is recommending is that the speed limit on these arterial roads be reduced from 35 down to 25 miles an hour. One of the most certain things, if you look at traffic safety studies, is that speed kills, right? When you have a car going 35, or let's be honest, most of the cars on Federal and Sheridan often go 40 or 45, or the drivers, I should say, not the sentient vehicles, it's the drivers that are driving at 40, 45. The likelihood of a pedestrian getting killed at those speeds if someone runs a red light is quite high, right? Especially if it's an elder, especially if it's a child or a person with a disability. And really the overarching theme of our letter was that is we want more speed limit reductions and safety measures like bulb outs and traffic calming and things like that, proven strategies that have worked well. It's not it's not something that we don't know what works. It's just an implementation to make these roads that are disproportionately killing and injuring, you know, our neighbors. Some of you folks may know Kim Campbell. He went to Highlands United Methodist Church, and he was unfortunately killed a few years back on September 11th, crossing the street, crossing West Colfax on his way to a doctor's appointment. He's going to take RTD to a doctor's appointment, and a driver ran a red light and killed him. And you know, it's just something that we would hope that some action will be taken. Sorry, I was rambling for a while. Keith, would you add anything to that?
No, that was great. You know, I just threw him a link in the chat to at the Inc. meeting this past Saturday. We had a really great presentation from Sam Piper with Dottie, who, you know, he talked about, you know, Dottie's goals and how they're, you know, trying to make Denver more bike friendly, more pedestrian friendly. And then Jill LaContour talked about some of these updates to Vision Zero. So if you have a few minutes, I think each of their presentations ran about 20 minutes. It was very worthwhile. We had tons of questions. We had way more questions than we could get to during the meeting. And it's, like I said, it's just really a really couple of great presentations about this. And Jill did mention that, you know, Federal is on the list of roadways that they're going to try to address in terms of slowing some of the speeds down. And, you know, I said that I live at near 23rd and Federal, which has become, you know, one of the new bike lanes. There's a lot more pedestrian traffic that's happening between, like, right off of Federal, heading into Jefferson Park. And I think that, you know, there are going to be more. I've seen 3 accidents at that corner in the past 3 weeks. And so I think there's just going to be a lot more, including, I'll say, one where 2 cars almost went into that new bakery on the corner. And if it wasn't for the fire hydrant being there, they would have been through the front door. And so I think that, you know, addressing these issues now is a good thing. And, you know, one of the things Alan and I talked about was if we can get this letter written to try to get some other RNOs in this area of Denver as well to kind of sign on to it and maybe have a little bit more impact as well. So, but we'd love to have some feedback if anybody you know, wanted to add anything or thought we needed to address something in the letter.
Yeah, Pat Buffet has a question.
Well, a comment, we live off 29th Avenue. We're 1 block north of the Sloan's Lake border. And 29th Avenue, because of 32nd Avenue and all the sticks being put up and everything, people are liking 29th Avenue. And we really have a difficult time getting out of our alley onto 29th Avenue. Because 29th goes straight through and it's a thoroughfare for those living in the west, on the west side of Denver.
Need roundabouts on Sheridan and Federal.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. No, thank you.
What was that?
Oh, Angela suggested roundabouts on Federal and Sheridan.
I would be for one of those, but I understand that there's some controversy, but I think that there's definitely some things that are in the you know, quiver out there that Alan, I think, has done a great job explaining to me, and they cover this in the presentation as well, that could definitely help to slow some traffic down at least. And I'm a big fan of these bump outs that happen because, you know, I've lived in Northwest Denver in a couple different areas now. And I think in both places, you're right, like pulling out of an alley or a driveway, or even rounding some turns on, you know, streets and neighborhood streets. It's really hard to see traffic that's coming. with parked cars and things like that. So,
Trees, overgrown trees,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and the city 311 doesn't get to those things right away.
So I think we're running out of time here. We have a short follow-up on the Sloan's Lake Golf Tournament. And Alan, if you could hit and run the MP4, I'll talk about it because that's just a visual, some shots of people enjoying themselves at the
Yeah, great. Let me pull that up here real quick for everybody to see.
Okay, that I got information from Kurt Weaver, who's the head of the Sloan's Lake Park Foundation. And he said that there were 314 golfers that signed up. There were slightly less that actually attended due to the rain. $10,000 was raised for the Sloan's Lake Park Foundation. Less 2,100 in costs to run it. Mayoral candidate Kelly Brock was there. Mike Johnson was at another event. 6 bars and restaurants each had record days. Selling libations because all of the little putt-putts were at a place that sold mixed drinks and beer. The education portion of the website was visited 1,200 times over the last month, spreading the word about the lake and its challenges / opportunities.
Great idea.
Because when they first said they're going to have a golf tournament at Sloan's Lake Park, I just went, what? Okay. So if you could flip on slide 8, Alan.
Which one? Remind me which one that is, Tom?
8.
What was the content?
There was a Colfax Marathon, not the Cookie Chase, that one. The rerouting of the Colfax Marathon this year through our neighborhood was people got to enjoy going around the lake and stayed on Colfax, and it just did not disrupt at all any of the streets in the neighborhood except for Perry and Colfax itself. So
churches and everything else.
yeah, we did not get stuck. I heard from a post my wife said that some people got stuck going to North High's graduation because they weren't alerted to the fact that Colfax would be closed. But other than that, it went by. It was so good this year compared to years in the past. So maybe some of our discussions with people have been listening. Coming up soon is the Cookie Chase 5K run. If you could show slide number 9. And there's the route for the Cookie Chase. And obviously it does not affect any of the neighborhood streets.
And what is a Cookie Chase?
If you could get to slide 9, it's a fun run, July 8th, 7:30 a.m. And it's just a bunch of people getting together and have a fun run. They're expecting 1,000 runners or walkers for the event. A DJ at the finish line at the northwest portion of the park, beginning at 8.
What does it benefit?
That's all the information that I have. I don't know.
You're not gonna run it, Tom?
I wouldn't. Get me my walker and I'll go.
Tom, you forgot the most important part. The finishers get cookies at the end.
Oh, okay. The reason that we post this is to let people know that there are events so that people in the neighborhood who want to participate can. A lot of times driving to church on a Sunday morning, oh, they're having another race. I wonder which one it is.
So if you want to know, www.coloradorunnerevents.com.
Right. And they were the ones that did the one last month, the Flamingo race. And so we're getting to the end of the meeting. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, July 12th, but we're wanting to discuss our summer picnic, whether we would like to have it in July or August. It would be on the day of the meeting, so it wouldn't be like involving a weekend day. So if anybody have any ideas or suggestions or preferences?
July seems hotter than August.
Okay, Deb said July seems hotter than August. Okay, and whether we want to have it in the park or if we would like to have it at the top of Metro Village. So the Metro Village would be less subject to weather issues, and the interior space is air conditioned.
And then outside.
Yeah, the walkway around there is open to the air, but sheltered with windscreen. So just keep it in your mind and we'll decide whether. Okay, let's take a vote of people who wants it in July or who wants it in August. Alan, could you do the July, August thing?
Yeah, give me a quick second here.
He's very agile at the keyboard.
I think the cookie race is just to qualify, it's a qualifier for other races, maybe. And they just named it, I don't see where it benefits anything. They have cute shirts with a cookie. Chocolate chip, it looks like.
All right, we've launched the poll online. For everyone that's online, you can choose now, July or August for our SLCG picnic.
Okay. In the room here, who, Deb, you were going for August. Anybody else for August?
So why don't you just say who wants July?
Right, who wants July? Who wants August?
I think you get a better turnout in August.
Okay,
Don't you?
we have most of the people here are August, 87% of the online are August also.
5 August, 1 July online.
Okay, so August it is.
And Janine also had a question. What about the update on the playground and tennis courts?
We did not get any information on that. Although if you drive by, it looks like they're making a lot of headway on the playground. When you also drive by the tents to contain the asbestos on the tennis courts when they took it out are gone now. So I think the asbestos has been removed from the site.
Well, it would be nice if they got them usable for this summer, because they weren't usable last summer.
Yeah.
Why did they tear out the skate park?
What skate park?
They tore it out. They tore out the skate park.
Where was the skate park, Janine?
Right, part of the playground.
Oh, did not know.
It would probably be a redesign with a different theme.
Because
That's
we
generally
did,
what they do.
we did go to several meetings and they discussed the design concepts and people voted for what right, there was a rocket ship thing. I voted at a meeting that they had specifically at Lake Middle School cafeteria.
They had built the skate park. It was finished and then they took it out.
Wow, that's what the city and county of Denver does
That's
with our money.
your tax dollars hard at work.
Yeah, that's pretty frustrating. Well, the pickleball courts that were gonna go in are no longer
Viable either.
going in either, so.
Oh, someplace, I heard someplace, the old Lucky's on Wadsworth is gonna be an indoor pickleball.
Yeah,
13 courts,
How many?
13, lucky 13.
nice.
And then if you go north into Adams County. There are outdoor pickle courts at, what's the name of it? Clear Creek.
Valley Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's an excellent park. If you haven't walked around there, there's lots of nature and
There's,
lots of parking, lots of birds.
and there
and
are,
pickleball.
and there are no houses nearby for people complaining.
Right, and it's Adams County.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. Our time is up by a few minutes and see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for
Alan.
Thank you, everybody.